could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Sunday Night Football Overtime. Bears, Rams. Well, that game was very ass-tastic. All right. Exactly what I expected. I was talking to my girl and she said, look, you can go to sleep on this game, babe. I'm giving you permission to go ahead and take a nice nap and get prepared for the show later on tonight. I said, I can't do that, man. She said, well, I was just extending the invitation because this is going to be trash. And she was pretty much right. She said, this could easily be 3-0. I said, man, go ahead with that, man. I said, it's going to be bad. It ain't going to be that bad. It was damn close. This game was everything I thought it was going to be. Two struggling football teams, two struggling offenses that I don't think will ever find their footing this season. The Rams have a much better opportunity to get right than that of the Bears. I think that was kind of proven tonight. The NFC is such a competitive conference. And we said that going into the season. I said that the NFC going into the year, and I said it on my podcast probably back in July maybe, and I asked the question, is the NFC the Western Conference of the NFL? Meaning, is it the superior conference? Is it the conference that we expect to be dominant? And the AFC is going to be lagging behind with one or two teams that kind of separate themselves. And of that group, you're going to have the team that makes it to the finals, or in the case of the NFL, the Super Bowl, and really go up against what is going to be a juggernaut of a conference. And whoever makes it out of that conference alive, probably going to be your Super Bowl champion. That didn't actually play out in the NBA. You know, the Raptors, Kawhi, and that group got hot, and they ended up winning the entire thing. But the Western Conference has long been the better conference in the NBA. And in this year's NFL, I think the NFC is far beyond the AFC and where they are as a conference. They've got two teams over there right now in the Patriots and the Ravens. And I still question how good the Patriots actually are. Now, the final product of the Patriots, when they get all their stuff back and they're expecting Isaiah Wynn to get back healthy, N'Keal Harry is going to get up to speed here, give him a few weeks to get his feet under him, and they'll continue to work in and acclimate Mohamed Sanu, and eventually they will get to a point where they feel a lot more comfortable offensively. They're not there yet. They're struggling on that side of the ball, but the defense is actually really good. So we'll see what happens with those two teams, the Ravens and the Patriots. But right now, they're the creme de la creme in the AFC. The NFC is ridiculous. I mean, you look at the NFC, there's one team that doesn't belong. Like, if I gave you a multiple choice question and said, which one of these teams doesn't belong? And then I start reeling off the playoff teams from the NFC, you're like, oh, that's easy. You know, you've got San Francisco, you've got Green Bay, you've got Minnesota, you've got Seattle, then you've got Dallas, and there's one more team in there and New Orleans. All of those teams have either 8 or 9 wins. And then there's Dallas with 6 wins, and they're like, hey, don't forget about us. And we're like, no, we want to forget about you. But that's the NFC. And if you're one of these wild card teams trying to get in, you're like, hey, damn, can we get a shot? The Rams are it right now at 6-4. Everybody else is at 5-5 or down there. You know, you ain't got time to be 5-5 right now in the NFC if you're looking for a wild card spot. I told you it was going to take at least 11. You know, I said 10 might get you in the AFC. 11 is, you can't even step to the front door unless you got 11 in the NFC. That's evident by just looking at all the playoff teams right now. You know, the Dallas Cowboys may be the one team, and that's a division winner. There is not another single team that will sniff the postseason from the NFC East. And so that's why this game was paramount for the Rams, because even if the Bears had won this game, they would have only been 5-5. They were still dead on arrival. You know, if the Rams wanted any shot at making this thing interesting down the stretch, they had to win this game to get to 6-4. You drop to 5-5 and you leave this game and both teams after this game are 5-5. Both of them are dead. I would have put 2 in both of their heads. Pop, pop. Oh yeah, you know they dead. Out back. Put both of them down. And then I would have just said, hey, all 6 of the teams that's in the playoffs right now, if the playoffs were to start in the NFC today, y'all just go ahead. Clinch your ticket. You're done. So at least the Rams make it interesting that if one of those final wild cards, because I still think Minnesota's real iffy to me, man. I look at the Vikings and I say, I don't believe you, man. You know that gif of Ron Burgundy when he goes, I don't believe you. And he puts a cigarette in his mouth. That's how I'm looking at the Minnesota Vikings like, I don't believe you. I don't believe the Vikings. I'm still looking at them right in their eyes and I'm like, you're not fooling me, man. You think you're going to win your division? I don't believe you. I don't even know if you're going to make the damn playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs because they're better than the Rams. And I don't believe the Rams, but I will tell you this. The Rams are playing the kind of defense they were playing earlier in the season. Remember when we were all like, whoa, this Rams defense looks crazy. And they're playing excellent. And the offense, they'll eventually wake up. And if they can continue to play this kind of defense with that offense that we knew from last year, look out. Well, that offense isn't coming back. All right, that's a dead offense this year. Maybe it'll come back next year. You know, maybe they'll figure out some things. Maybe the offensive line gets healthy. Maybe they'll fine-tune some things. But that offense is dead in terms of 2019. You're not getting that offense back. I don't know if Brandon Cooks will be back. You know, the whole concussion thing. I don't know what his situation is going to be. No Robert Woods tonight. They just punted on the pass tonight. And good thing they had it going on the ground with Gurley, especially early. Because if not for the run game, Jared Goff threw it 18 times. They treated him like a rookie quarterback that they really didn't want on the field. Like how the Redskins were treating Dwayne Haskins in his first start versus the Buffalo Bills. They treated him like Jared Goff of 4 years ago. Like, yikes, okay? But they didn't trust what they had out there. They had Josh Reynolds and Michael Thomas, and there was a lot of guys who was like, hey, man, we'd really prefer not to throw the football if we don't have to tonight. So I get it. I totally get it. And again, the ground game with Gurley was working early. It was working often enough. Not so much as in the first half as it was in the second half. The first half, they had it going on the ground. Not so much in the second half. Really, if you watch this game, this was total domination by the Chicago Bears, to be honest with you. Especially after the first half. The Bears dominated the second half of this game. But really, truth be told, 2 missed field goals really defined this game for the Bears. Because if they make those 2 field goals, it's a totally different outcome. The Bears might actually win this game. But those 2 misses by Eddie Pinheiro. Eddie P, everybody. Eddie P, who will be looking for a new job after tomorrow because the Bears will be trying out kickers most likely on Tuesday. Cost them this game. And it's a damn shame because, again, this Bears defense deserved better. All season long, they've deserved better. They lost to the Chargers in a game that they should have won. You could argue they could have won this game, probably should have won this game. The defense has kept them in ball games all season long. How about the first game of the season versus Green Bay? I mean, if you sit and think about the Bears' season thus far and how they've been in ball games, and this defense has given them every opportunity to win, and they just haven't been able to take advantage of it because they just stink on offense, and their field goal kicking situation hasn't gotten any better. And so here we are, 4-6. With a team that easily could be 7-3 right now if they could kick the football better or play just a tad bit better on offense. And that's the sad truth of it. There are so many teams out there that would love to take this Bears defense, pair it with their offense, and they'd be winning 8 or 9 games at this point of the season. Instead, the Bears stink on offense, and their special teams isn't much better. Outside of Cordero Patterson, they stink on special teams. And they haven't gotten anything out of Tariq Cohen in the punt game. And they've done nothing to really alter the game special teams-wise other than missed kicks, which have turned it into the favor of the opposition. And it's unfortunate. And I know Mitchell Trubisky, the storyline out of this game is, he got benched. And what does this mean for Mitchell Trubisky? Look, they're going to run with the report. And I saw it on Twitter that, hey, look, Mitchell Trubisky had a hip injury. So we pulled him out of the game. They're going to run with that, as they should. But I think that was somewhat of a shot fired. You know, hey, look, man, this ain't the guy. And I feel bad for Mitchell Trubisky because he was put in a situation where it was tough. You know, all the success coming off of last year. Remember, this is the same guy that people were putting money down on before the season started to win MVP. He was the dark horse favorite. Don't forget that this was the man that was a dark horse favorite before the season started to win MVP. And now, and a wise man once told me, shit flows downstream. Never up. Shit always flows downstream. So when shit gets bad and the blame game comes, shit goes downstream. So it starts with the head coach. His seat gets hot. People start questioning him. And he said, no, don't look at me. It's him. And so that shit flows downstream. And now it's Mitchell's fault. And look, I'm not here to defend Mitchell Trubisky, man. I'm not. Because Mitchell doesn't do enough. Mitchell isn't accurate enough. Mitchell could be better. But I remember 6 touchdowns versus Tampa Bay Mitchell Trubisky. I remember Mitchell Trubisky that did enough to win double-digit games last year and win the division. I remember Mitchell Trubisky that had these boys within a double doink of moving on to the divisional round last year. I remember. So I'm not going to sit here and act like this man just forgot how to play football. All of a sudden now, you trade Jordan Howard because you feel like Jordan Howard doesn't fit what you do. You go out and you get Michael Davis, and all of a sudden, you don't give Michael Davis any run. Now you cut him in week number 10 because he doesn't fit what you do. And now you don't run the football. Now you decide we're just going to throw the football with Mitchell Trubisky exclusively, as if Mitch didn't tell you last year, hey, bruh, I need a run game, okay? Let's not act like we don't know how this thing works. I told your ass last year, I need a run game. You gave me a run game last year. I went out and I produced double-digit wins. This year, you get rid of my run game and you say, hey, Mitch, it's all on you, bruh. I said, I'm not built for that kind of party. I didn't come here to throw it 40 some odd times. I didn't sign up for that shit. I didn't tell you to spend the number 2 overall pick in the draft on me. I didn't tell you to trade up from 3 to 2. I didn't tell you to get rid of Jordan Howard. All right? I didn't tell you to be a predominantly pass football team and then try to look at me like I did this. You did this. You're not a great head coach. You pulled the wool over everybody's eyes last year. And so now, because the pressure's on your ass to perform better as a head coach, because you out here doing some tomfoolery and some bullshit, now it's my fault. So shit goes downstream. So now it's Mitchell's fault. And again, I'm not here to pass the buck off because Mitchell hasn't been good enough. But I know Mitchell has been good enough in the past. I've seen Mitchell thrive and flourish under this same damn head coach. But this head coach lost his damn mind this season when he decided, man, I'm bigger than everything that's going on around me. I'm the man. Everybody's telling me how good I am, so I'm going to really show him. Now I'm going to go into the bag of tricks now. And he got away from what worked last year, and now he's finding out this shit ain't as easy as I thought it was. Andy Reid makes it look easy because Andy isn't stupid. Andy knows what's the ticket. I'm going to do whatever my quarterback does best. When it was Alex Smith, and we gonna run the football, we going to have this short passing game, we're not going to turn it over, and we're going to give ourselves a chance. That was with Alex Smith. Does this offense look the same now with Patrick Mahomes? No, because he's got a different skill set. I don't have to play it close to the vest anymore. Hell, I don't even have to run the football if I don't want to. I can let Patrick Mahomes go out and sling the bitch 45 times, and I feel pretty comfortable we still going to win the damn game. Unless the defense decides to give up one more point more than we score on offense, as they did last week versus Tennessee. All right? You can't do that with Alex Smith. And Andy Reid knew that. But it seems that old Mr. Nagy figures it out. He's like, man, I can do whatever I want to do because I am a genius. And that's what you get with these offensive dudes. They start believing all the hype. People start telling them how great of an offensive mind they are. That shit goes to their head, and they get away from what has worked. Same thing with the Rams. And it's to a lesser degree with Sean McVay. He's got injuries. He's got a lot of things going on. So he's trying to morph this team into something else. But what happened to all the jet sweeps and the fake jet sweep motions and all of the eye candy that the Rams used to do? What happened to the screen game? What happened to the little quick screens that we going to pop you with? That shit has gone away. And now all of a sudden the Rams offense looks really vanilla. All of the stuff. I mean, last year you were getting strawberry, pistachio, butter pecan or pecan, however you go. If you want to be bougie with it, go right ahead. But there was a lot of different flavors they were feeding us last year, man. And the year before that. Like, man, this is some pretty goddamn good offense right here, man. So many different flavors. I don't know which one to choose. Now all of a sudden, this Rams offense looks vanilla. I'm like, man, this is the same ass vanilla I had last week. Same damn vanilla ice cream I had the week before. What the hell is going on with this Rams offense? I don't know. Don't ask me. All right. It was enough to win today. But if you play good teams, 17 points ain't going to win you too many games in this league, man. I'm going to tell you straight up. 17 ain't going to get you the ticket most weeks. All right. You're not going to get a win with 17. That's just not how this works, man. All right. So I'm still not hyped on the Rams, and I still don't expect them to make the postseason unless they figure some shit out offensively that I just don't see happening. I don't anticipate them being able to do enough to make the postseason this year. But it's crazy because this was the perfect game, and it's to me a microcosm of where both of these teams are right now. Both of these teams right now are a mess offensively, and conversely, both of these teams actually play some quality defense. And I think the Rams ultimately may get even better defensively because they're still figuring out how all of these moving parts play as one and come together. They're figuring out how to use Jalen Ramsey. He turned off the faucet tonight on Allen Robinson. And that's what he's going to pretty much do moving forward. And I think you're going to see them really ratchet it up defensively. And when you look at what they've done over the last month or so since getting Ramsey, they really haven't surrendered a lot of points. It's been the lack of offense that has been startling. Now, when they play bad teams, they're able to score some points like they were over in London versus Cincinnati. And even tonight, 17, that's a lot for them with the way that their offense is running right now. They're just not scoring a ton of points. You know, they 7 against Pittsburgh a week ago. They're not scoring a bunch of points, man. All right, that's just not where they are right now in their maturation offensively, but they're not giving up a ton of points either. You know, you get a turnover late versus Pittsburgh that goes to the crib that gives up a touchdown. They gave up 14 points essentially to the Steelers last week, and I think one of those might have even been created by a turnover as well. They give up what? I don't remember how much they gave up to the Atlanta Falcons, but it wasn't much. Maybe 10 points, maybe, in Ramsey's first game. I want to say that was. And then the following week versus Cincinnati, not a lot of points there given up over in London. So the defense has been stout since they've gotten their hands on Jalen Ramsey. It's just the offense hasn't followed suit. So it'll be interesting to see if they can make this thing a race down the stretch for that final wild card in the NFC, because right now, Seattle, they've got their eyes set on the division. They could give a damn about the wild card. So I think Seattle's in. I'm not worried about them. I told you I don't believe in the Minnesota Vikings. All right. And so I think the Vikings can falter down the stretch. And if they come back to the pack a bit and the Rams are able to kind of step their game up a bit, and they've still got some divisional games. So it'll be interesting to see if they have, because I said 3 weeks ago, they may have a say-so. They may not, they ultimately won't win the division, but they may have a say-so in who does. Because Seattle has to come to Los Angeles. And I don't know if they've played San Francisco in San Francisco yet. I believe that game is still yet to have happened. So I feel like they still have a chance to impact this divisional race one way or the other. So it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do. And I think they can find a way to make this interesting to the point where, you know, Minnesota and Seattle haven't clinched, or San Francisco, if they don't win the division, haven't clinched the 2 wild card spots by week, 14. And that shit is over. And now it's just jostling for, positioning as to who's the 1, who's the 5, who's the 5, who's the 6 type of deal. So NFC is stupid right now. It's just dumb. It just really is. Just absolutely ridiculous how good that entire conference is in terms of jockeying for a playoff spot. And Chicago's dead now. Dead, I tell you. Whereas the Rams, with this win, keep their hopes alive in the NFC playoffs. So let's get to your comments quickly. Niners fan says the Bears' offensive woes are not all on Trubisky. It's a combination of poor play calling and poor offensive line play. I agree with you wholeheartedly. There are going to be so many people that point the finger at Mitchell Trubisky, talk about how bad he stinks. Go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you. I'm just going to make sure that you understand that this isn't a one-man show here. And I've already laid it out how I feel about Matt Nagy and what he's done this season. I think he has been absolutely horrendous as a play caller. I think he has allowed the success of last year to go straight to his head, and he lost his damn mind. So I don't put this all on Mitchell Trubisky. I really don't. Lurtz of Orthac says, whose bright idea was it to make this trash fire Sunday night football game? So many other more interesting matchups could have played out today. This should have been flexed out. Well, they don't start the flexing process till week 12. So that's why we were able to flex in Green Bay, San Francisco next week, because it's week 12. Had this game been next week, they would have flexed it out of there. But it was 1 week too soon, so we had to take it. Luckily enough for us, this is the last one on Sunday night that we'll have to eat. If it's trash moving forward, they'll get rid of it. Niners fan also says, Lou, how about Jimmy G today? He willed us to a win and saved us from an ugly loss. Look, you already know how I feel about Jimmy G, man. I'm not going to allow people to throw dirt on that man's name. I will not stand for it. I will be the voice of reason for guys like Jimmy G and Kirk Cousins who, people, you know how I feel about Kirk Cousins. I'm not going to do that here today. Anyway, I defended Jimmy G on that Monday night loss. Me and you, I think you sat there, I sat here, and we both tried to defend Jimmy G. Everybody else was throwing dirt on that man's name. We won't allow it. All right, you won't allow it, I won't allow it. So as long as we are present, Jimmy G will be fine. If we're excluded from the room, Jimmy G will be trashed. So as long as you're there and I'm here, he's fine. Ed says, this was horrible. I am beyond mad at this point. I am used to it as a Bears fan, the offensive woes and everything with this team. Yeah, it's frustrating, man. Because I remember I said this before the season started. I said, I'm anxious to see how the Bears handle expectation. It's one thing to come out. Remember, last year, nobody thought the Bears, except for a few people scattered here and there. I remember JP before the season said, hey, look, man, Bears are going to go 12-4. I said, JP, you're out of your damn mind. He said, I'm telling you, Bears are going to go 12-4. JP was right. The Bears were damn good. And we were like, where the hell is this coming from? But the expectations now, it's one thing when you're the hunter and nobody's expecting you and you just show up and you get to eat. It's another thing when you're the hunted and now you're running for your life because everyone's coming after you. And instead of you getting to eat, you're trying to avoid being eaten. What are you going to do when the expectations are you're supposed to win? Now the Packers are coming after your ass, and they're looking to eat bear for dinner. Now the Vikings are on the hunt, and we all know they're looking to eat. And all of a sudden now, that pressure's on you to perform. What do? I said, the good teams in this league, the elite franchises, the teams that are accustomed to winning, they are able to handle the expectations. That's why they win year in and year out. The bad franchises, the teams that get lucky, that catch lightning in a bottle, they go right back to where they came from the year after they have success. And the Bears proved that they're not ready for primetime yet. They went right back to being the Chicago Bears that we've come to know and love over the last 15 years or so. All right. We haven't had a consistently good Bears football team since the Lovie Smith days. With Rex Grossman, if you can believe that. Okay. This team just isn't accustomed to winning, and they haven't been able to sustain success. And it's a damn shame because this defense is ready to win, man. Defense is ready to go right now. Fresh out the packaging. No assembly necessary. Batteries are included with this defense. They're ready to go. This offense, unfortunately, sold separately. Sucks. Anyway, Young Deck says, Trubisky, he says, is the next Blake Bortles and will be a backup in 2 years. You're probably right, unfortunately. It's a damn shame because I think he is capable in this league. I do. I'm not saying he's an elite, put the team on your back type of quarterback, but I think you can win in this league with a guy like Mitchell Trubisky. But he's going to suffer the same fate that Marcus Mariota suffered in Tennessee. I think he's going to end up being ousted. I think he's going to end up being out of Chicago and have to find work elsewhere and end up probably ultimately being a backup somewhere. You're probably right. Ed says, we need a new coach, new GM, and quarterback. Yikes. I don't know if I want to kill my man that quick. Matt Nagy was just a divisional winner last season. He's only in year 2. Got to give the man a chance to figure this shit out. I don't like his demeanor. I don't like the fact that he doesn't want anybody to challenge him. He doesn't think he's wrong. I don't like that when he steps to the podium after an egregious miss against the Denver Broncos, where he decides, or excuse me, not Denver Broncos, the Los Angeles Chargers, where he decides to take a knee and not go for extra yards to get closer, like he has a great field goal kicker, and lose the game and then feel like I would do this every time. I wasn't going to throw it. I wasn't going to run it. Okay, well, then you wanted to lose the damn game then. And so he's a little bullheaded. And I don't like that. You got to be able to admit when you were wrong. Like, shit, I probably shouldn't have done that. But that's no here nor there. Bottom line is, I'm not going to crucify him to the point where I want him gone now. If I'm a Bears fan, I'm really disappointed in the season. And I understand your frustration. Give the man one more year, to be able to see if year 1 was a fluke or was year 2 an aberration. All right, let's find out who he really is. You can't say, hey, he won big in year 1, lost big in year 2. We need to get rid of him. Let's find out which one is real. Was it year 1 or was it year 2? Okay, because it's one thing to win and have that ability to win right away and never really experience losing, because we know who you are when you win. It's easy to determine who a person is when they win. The real character and test of a man is what happens when adversity hits. Same thing with a coach. No difference there. Who are you when adversity hits? I haven't liked what I've seen. I already said that. That being said, it's his first time having adversity. And that's why I always say I want to see my players, especially the quarterback, have adversity, because I'm going to find out a lot about you when adversity hits. Everybody can thrive when the good times are rolling, man. Robert Griffin III was excellent when shit was going well in 2012. He was on top of the world. Everybody was singing his praises. Shit was all hunky-dory. Then when that adversity hit, he bitched up. And you found out who he really was. And that's what you got to know. And you don't know that when you just come into success, which is what happened with Matt Nagy year 1. He just rolled into success. Shit was working and they were doing trick plays and they had nice, cute nicknames for him and everything was all fun and games. Now shit hit the fan this year. Fingers are being pointed. Blame is being passed. I don't like that shit. That's that shit I don't like. But I want to see what happens when now he's had a chance to process everything, gets a full offseason to realize what went right, what went wrong. And I want to see if he rebounds next season. I know a lot of Bears fans don't want to hear that, but I think that he deserves a third season to try to see if he can figure this thing out and dig himself out of this hole. And maybe you'll find out that you actually have a really good coach on your hands. If you are too quick to rush judgment and pass judgment on him in year 2, you could be getting rid of Bill Belichick for all you know. You remember, that's what happened to Belichick in Cleveland. They didn't give him an opportunity to show that he belonged. They just got rid of him when the team moved. And the rest is history. He was on the cusp of turning shit around in Cleveland, and they got rid of him before he could. Don't make the same mistake if you're the Chicago Bears. I've always been somewhat lukewarm on Ryan Pace. I've never loved him. I've never fully committed to him. That being said, again, look, everything was all good just 2 weeks ago. And I say that figuratively, not literally. I mean, everything was all good just last season. You know, Ryan Pace is great. Matt Nagy is God, and everything is all good in Chicago. Now the sky is falling in Chicago. The city's on fire, and get rid of everybody. I don't know if I believe in that. Bob Money says, Mitchell Trubisky almost considered bust material. He's getting there, and I hate that. I hate that. I really do. But Mitchell's got to play better. I'm not going to allow him to escape this situation unscathed. He has to play better. But it's not just him that's in the wrong and in the fault here with this Bears football team. Young Deck says, who do you think will be the Bears QB next year? Interesting question. Obviously, there's going to... I talked about this on my podcast. The free agency crop for the NFL at the quarterback position, ridiculous. I'm not going to go into it here because if you want to know how I feel, go listen to my podcast. But I'm just going to tell you, it's really interesting the guys that will be available most likely come next offseason. We've never seen a veteran group like this available at the quarterback position, and it couldn't be at a better time for a team like the Bears or even a team like the Denver Broncos, who we consider to be teams that may be ready to win now defensively and don't have enough offense at the quarterback position to get it done. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Protect Sports says, NFC is lit. He said the NFC East is pitiful, bro. It is. I talked about this on one of my Redskin programs, how I long for the days of the NFC East being a ridiculously good division where, you know, somebody's going to win it at 12-4 or 13-3 instead of somebody winning the division at 10-6 or 9-7. The NFC East is the worst division in the NFC conference. It's not close. As I mentioned, when you go down the list of teams vying for playoff spot in the NFC, it's 9-1 San Francisco. It's 8-2 Green Bay. It's 8-2 New Orleans. It's 8-3 Minnesota. It's 8-2 Seattle, and then it's 6-4 Dallas. You know what I mean? Like, you get excited about it's 9-1, 8-2, 8-2, 8-3, 8-2, 6-4. You know, and somebody's got to win that division. Philadelphia is 5-5, Dallas is 6-4, and both of those teams, they look a little funky, man. Both of them look real shaky, but somebody's gonna win that division. Anyway, KT the Southern Gent says Bears fans are like, we passed on Mahomes and Watson for that bum. Hey, look, I didn't sign off on that. I did not sign off on that. That sheet came across my desk. When they moved up for Trubisky, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I'm not signing on that dotted line. I'm not putting my John Hancock on that. What are you doing right now? And they said, man, you don't know that Mitchell Trubisky's about to be the next big thing in this league? And I'm like, no, I don't. But even if you think he is, I'm not signing off on you trading up a pick and giving up King's ransom to get him. Sit your ass at 3 and wait for him. And if he's not there, cool. So be it. But they decided to do it anyway. They overruled my decision, which was I'm not signing that. They said, well, we're going to go over your head and we're going to get some signatures from some other guys and we're going to pass this thing on through. And they did. And I didn't sign off on it then, and I don't sign off on it now. But again, everything's hindsight is 2020. Obviously, he could have ended up being really good. Mahomes could have been, I think it doesn't really matter where Mahomes ended up. He ended up in the perfect place. And I've always said that where you end up is everything. Because if you end up on the right team with the right coaches that take advantage of your skill set, you're going to flourish. I mean, Lamar Jackson on the Bears, probably not the same Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Lamar Jackson on the Ravens, where they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take your skill set and we're going to build around you. We're going to revamp this offense and make it in the image of you. We're going to take this roster offensively and we're going to make it in the image of you. We're going to get players that surround you, that complement what you do. You like throwing the football to the tight ends? We're going to make this team tight end heavy. Guys that you trust that are shorthanded, we're going to get them on this roster. We're going to surround you with running backs that will complement you in that backfield. We're going to make sure that this offensive line is big and sturdy and physical, that will move guys off the line of scrimmage and create space for you and these running backs down the football field. All right? They created an offense in the image of Lamar Jackson, and that's why they're yielding the results that they're getting this season. And that's what the Bears did last year. They took that offense and they molded it into Mitchell Trubisky's offense. And this year, Matt Nagy let it go to his head. And now he says, forget about Mitchell Trubisky's offense and what makes him comfortable. We're going to make this the Matt Nagy show. Starring Matt Nagy, featuring Matt Nagy, and it's all about me. I want everybody to know how great I am. And instead of him doing what he did last year, which was building an offense that was complementary around Mitchell Trubisky, he said, I'm going to take this offense and make it the Matt Nagy offense. I'm going to put my thumbprint on this offense and make sure that everybody knows how great I am, so they're singing my praises. So we're going to take that next step now, and Mitchell Trubisky isn't going to get to manage the game. We're going to ask him to go out and win the game. Mistake. And so you got to pay for those type of mistakes. You got to pay for those. Those are not free. Those aren't free mistakes in this league. You pay for those. Anyway, KT the Southern Gent says, has the league figured out Sean McVay? No, I think Sean McVay is overthinking some things. Now, again, injuries will do that to you. You know, when you got 3-4 different offensive linemen on the field than what you had planned when the season started, it changes some things, man. Changes things. And you saw what they said during the Sunday night game, how many different line combinations they've had. Remember, he hadn't had to deal with this. The first year, they started 15 out of 16 games. Why? Because the final game of the season, they didn't need it because they had already clinched, so they didn't start all 5 of their starters. Last year, all 16 games. Same 5 dudes. He hasn't had to deal with this type of adversity. And I told you, you find out who you are as a coach and as a team when adversity hits. And I really like how Sean he stepped to the mic every week and said, look, this is on me. We've got to be better. It starts with me. We'll figure this thing out. We'll get back to work on Monday and we'll figure out what we did wrong and we'll try to improve and we'll try to come back and get it. And that's why I love Sean McVay, because you're going to get that from Sean every week. Whether they win or they lose, Sean's going to be like, well, we still got areas that we can improve on, but we'll take the win and we'll try to get better. And when they lose, same Sean, man. Shit don't change. Same even keel Sean McVay. Hey, look, man, we didn't get it done today. That's on me. I gotta coach up better. I gotta get these guys prepared to win better than I did today. We'll go back to the lab. We'll figure some things out. We'll improve on our mistakes, and we'll come back and we'll try to win next week. And to his credit, shit has not gone the way that he anticipated this season. Todd Gurley and this offense hasn't gotten it going. The offensive line hasn't been the offensive line that he thought he was going to have for 16 games. They've been in shambles. Luckily enough for them, they've drafted well. You saw those guys step in. Bobby Evans stepped in. A guy that I thought should have been drafted a lot sooner, and David Edwards from Wisconsin stepped in, and I thought they did an admirable job tonight. All right. And so that depth has provided them with a little bit of a spark maybe for the rest of this season if these injuries persist. Some of these guys aren't coming back. You know, some of these guys are gone for the season. So they're going to need some of these guys to step up and play for them. They did well tonight. And, you know, no Robert Woods tonight, personal matter. He didn't anticipate that happening. You had the injury to Brandon Cooks. He hasn't played in a few weeks with the concussions, and you really don't know when he's coming back. And so it's been a lot of different things going on. But through it all, here they are at 6-4. It hasn't been pretty, you know, but it's been gritty. And they find themselves right in the thick of things. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But to a degree, has the league found Sean McVay out? Yeah, a little bit. You know, they figured out some things. They've taken away the little jet sweep stuff and how they've attacked the Rams offensively. Now I want to see them adjust to the adjustment that has been made to them. So yeah, to a degree, yeah, league's figured them out a little bit, but also they've dealt with some injuries and some things that have altered what they ultimately want to do. Sean McVay's offense has never been complex. That's the funny thing I've been trying to explain to everybody. He's not doing anything extravagant. He's not reinventing the wheel. They were doing a lot of simple stuff, and they were just repeating it and doing it over and over and over again and having success. Sean McVay went with the method of, hey, we're going to take these 12 plays and we're going to maximize these 12 plays. And we are going to run and execute the hell out of these 12 plays. Now, we may run these same 12 plays, but we'll run them from different formations and different looks. We'll motion and we'll shift to different ways to get to the same 12 plays. They won't know it's coming because it looks different. It's the same damn play. We're just running it from a different formation. Or we'll shift to get to this play from a different formation. It'll look totally different, but it's the same shit. Yeah, Leach kind of figured that out a bit. So now he's got to adjust. So we'll see what happens. KT the Southern Gent says, will Michael Thomas break Marvin Harrison's record? I talked about that on my podcast. So if you want to hear what I have to say about that, go check my podcast out. Niners fan says, I know the Bears defense was really good today, but we have to acknowledge the drop-off from Vic Fangio to Pagano. Defense has not been the same. I said that was going to happen. It's a different defensive scheme. You know, Chuck Pagano's more of this, you know, bend but don't break type of defense. He's not as aggressive as Vic Fangio. And it's not going to be as many multiple looks as Vic Fangio. And it is what it is, you know, but they haven't been terrible. Protect Sports says, bro, the Golfence is ripped for the 2019 season. I definitely agree. I long for the days of the Golfence, man. You know, will that return this year? Maybe, maybe not. But right now, you might be right. It might be curtains for the Golfence in 2019. We'll see. Azad Bilal says, I'm kind of mad at the Bears. No heart by anyone. Khalil Mack, one of the best defensive players, shows no heart. He has been suspect. Matt Nagy basically putting in the towel is disgusting. So Khalil Mack is essentially being taken out of the game by teams, and he doesn't have any help right now. You know what I mean? They definitely miss Akeem Hicks and his presence inside. Really, I think the drop-off coincides with no Akeem Hicks inside. Like, sometimes you got to admit that a pass rusher, an edge rusher, is only as good as the guys on the interior, because you can beat a guy around the corner, but if there is no interior pressure, the quarterback can just step up and you go right around. Now, to make matters worse, you're Khalil Mack. Like, everybody is circling you in their game plan saying, hey, we got to double team this dude. We will not, I repeat, not let this guy wreck our game plan. And so if that means tight end got to be there to get a nice big chunk out of him, and then the tackle got to ride him around. We saw that one play where the tight end got a nice big-ass piece. I mean, a huge chunk of Khalil Mack on that play. Pushed him about 7 yards up the field. He then tried to run the arc, and right there is Andrew Whitworth, the tackle, waiting on him to say, hey, no the hell you don't. And Khalil did his best to try to get a piece of golf, and what did he do? He just slid up and then delivered the football. Ain't nothing he could do, you know? So it's tough. And we got used to Khalil just being a stud. Just figure it out. Just find a way to will yourself to a sack. And that's what the good ones do. But at the same time, it's good when you have help, especially when the other team is keying in on you. It's a lot tougher to key in on someone that's on the interior. You want to say, well, look at Aaron Donald. He's on the interior, man. It's a lot easier for an interior guy to split a double team, or for them to do something to force them to single him up. It's hard to double team an interior defensive lineman on every snap. It's much easier to double team a guy on the edge, because I can put a back out there. I can put a tight end out there. I can bring a wide receiver down to crack. I can do a lot of things to a guy on the edge to affect him. A guy on the interior, there's not much I can do other than say, all right, center and guard, y'all got this dude. But what happens when they mug the A gaps and force your center to have to single up on Aaron Donald, or force your guard to have to one-on-one? Even if that guy doesn't come, you have to account for these guys mugging the A gap. Or they show blitz from the safety. Or they show blitz from one of the linebackers, and now all of a sudden you got different responsibilities, and now he gets a one-on-one matchup. It's a lot easier to get your defensive tackle ISO'd on a guard or a center. So it's tough. It's tough. Look at Von Miller's numbers this year. They're not the same. It's tough when you don't have help. Bradley Chubb no longer on that roster right now with the injury, and now teams look at Von Miller and say, "You it, man? You the only dude I got to stop." Okay, we'll figure out a way. So it's tough when you are the only guy. So I hear you though. He hasn't been the dominant Khalil Mack that you got accustomed to. But remember, earlier in the season, same dude, wreaking havoc with Akeem Hicks in the lineup. Akeem Hicks out of the lineup, and it coincides. The Redskins game was the last game for Akeem Hicks. That was the last game Khalil Mack was wrecking shop. I'm just saying. Niners fan says, the 6 playoff teams in the NFC are set. I don't think Rams have any shot of getting in even with this win. You're probably right, but I told you, look out for the Vikings, man. They're a little iffy, bruh. I can see the Vikings dropping a game or two here down the stretch, and they still got another one with Green Bay. They got another one with this Chicago team, which they struggle with, They probably will beat the Bears, but I wouldn't put it past them. Family business. You know how that shit goes. Just check the NFC South in case you forgot how family business works. All right? Throw the records out. When family members collide, shit goes crazy and off to the side. So, hey, don't act like the Vikings aren't capable of dropping. And you know the rules to the game. If you don't go at least 500 in your division, you're not allowed to make the postseason. That shit is ordained. All right? You don't go at least 3-3 in your division. You got to take your ass home, man. So, we're going to see what happens with the Vikings. They've got a nice sizable cushion, though, at 8-3. But I'm telling you right now, they almost lost today. There are a couple of games in there that they could have easily have lost. Could have easily have lost to the Cowboys. Probably should have lost to the Cowboys if they would have decided not to run the ball twice in a row when they were throwing the football at will. The Vikings don't have a good pass defense. They don't. That's going to be their undoing this season. They can't stop the pass. I wouldn't be shocked if they allowed the Rams back into this thing. I just don't trust the Rams. I don't trust the Vikings, but I trust them more than I trust the Rams. So you're probably right. Gregory Lightbody says, what do you think about Haskins in the O-line video? I tweeted out about it a little bit, but I liked it. I liked it. I'll talk about it more tomorrow on the Redskins Nightly News. I agree with Ed says, I agree with you, Louie. We're going to find a new kicker and maybe a quarterback. I'm going to ride for my team, win or lose. Yeah, I mean, that's how you had no choice. You know what I mean? Like, it's just tough because if you're a Bears fan, you don't feel like you're supposed to be here right now. Like, you're not supposed to be 4-6 and your season being over at this point. Not off of the season you had last year and the expectations you had going into this season. You weren't supposed to be here. Azad Bilal says, I cannot believe people thought the Bears would be better than a healthy Aaron Rodgers. Just shows you that the NFL is a different league year after year. It was crazy that a lot of people thought the Packers were going to not be good because of a coaching change. I couldn't believe how many people thought the Packers were going to be ordinary this season. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, I don't understand how you feel like they're not going to win double-digit games. That blows my mind. I just don't understand. A healthy Aaron Rodgers equals double-digit wins. It's really simple. I don't care who the coach is. As you can see, it doesn't matter who the receivers are. He finds a way. The defense is a little bit better. They still got a long way to go, but they're improved. You improve the defense, and you get a healthy Aaron Rodgers. Come on, man. Stop. Niners fan says, the Bears got too cute with trading Jordan Howard. He was the most consistent running back they had last year. Again, I never thought that was a good idea. And I saw the writing on the wall when they traded Jordan Howard. I said, Matt Nagy's smelling himself. He's really feeling himself right now. Feeling himself to the point where it may cost his team. And I was right. I was hoping I was wrong, but I was right. If you want your comment read, use the hashtag LouieTLive. All right? For those of you new to the stream. Niners fan says, this is what the Bears get for acting like their kicker position was their only issue this off season. Yep. I can't disagree with that. Cannot. Reese says, Lou, it's time to move on from Jameis. Like you said, he works hard, he has desire, but he just can't stop throwing interception. It kills me to say it, but we need a new quarterback. And that's going to happen this offseason. Jameis will no longer be a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I talked about it on my podcast. Now, I mean, that interception that he had where O.J. Howard goes behind the back, come on, man. Like, what the hell? What do you want him to do there? I know, look, he threw 3 other interceptions on the day. I get it. But seriously, what are we doing right now? I mean, it is what it is, man. I understand. Gregory Lightbody says, can you believe Max Crosby today? Max Crosby, I'm thinking. I'm lost. I'm having a brain fart. Dre the Great says, this game confirms who the real difference maker is, and that's Akeem Hicks. Bingo. Ding, 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 ding. See, that's the thing everybody likes to forget. You know, because Akeem Hicks ain't out here getting 13 sacks a season, they don't understand the impact. And I just touched on that. Somebody was talking about Khalil Mack's disappearing act, and I'm like, you forgot why there's a disappearing act here. Akeem Hicks. Now, the defense hasn't been bad in Chicago. They're just not dominant. Why? Akeem Hicks. There's a correlation. Young Deck says, as a Saints fan, I want the Bucs to extend Jameis. He's a good quarterback when he isn't making bad decisions leading to interceptions. Of course you would, because you want him to throw more interceptions to your team, so you can win more games versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Saints fan says, Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks aren't getting any younger. The Bears need to take advantage of this window they have in the next 3 years. Gregory Lightbody says, what happened to rep your squad? It'll be back. I think it'll be back tomorrow. Just got a lot going on. Let's see. Dre the Great says, did Mack register a tackle in the game? I don't know. I remember at one point he had nothing. He had no hurries. He had no tackles. He had nothing. It was just 7 snaps. He might have registered a tackle. I'm not sure, though. Black Al B says, damn, though how you phrased it, it was hilarious, but you not believing in my Vikes hurts the soul, LOL, skull. I don't. I really don't believe you. But I think you're going to make the postseason. But I don't think you're going to win a game when you get there. That's just how I feel. But you're not out of the woods yet. The Rams, I think, are going to try to make this thing interesting. But I think you've built up enough equity at 8-3 to hold those boys at bay. Because I don't love what they're doing on offense. But I'm telling you right now, if this defense figures it out completely and they start shutting teams down and they get some of these pieces back, like Brandon Cooks, they get Robert Woods back from his personal matter and the offensive line start. I think we saw the makings of the offensive line that may figure some shit out. And if they're able to do that, look out. They could get back to being who they were, earlier in the season and even last year. They can figure some stuff out. Maybe they can make it really interesting, but we'll see. Young Deck says, the Rams defense yet to face a good offense since they got Ramsey, so they are overrated. I'm not going to kill you on that. They faced the Falcons. This was pre-bye. I don't know what the hell Dan Quinn did at the bye week, but that was pre-bye week Falcons. So that was a totally different outfit. I don't know if it's just family business that the Falcons are handling right now, or this is the new Falcons post-bye, or I don't know what the hell's going on. But they scoring points, and they putting fools in check right now. They shut those boys down, all right? The Steelers are not good offensively. That's a fact. The Bengals are not a good offensive team. That's a fact. And these Bears are not a good offensive team. That is also a fact. I cannot argue with that, okay? I would like to see them against a team that can score. They're going to play teams that can score points this year. They're going to play the 49ers. They're going to play the Seahawks. They're going to play the Cowboys. They're going to play teams that can score points this year. So we're going to find out how good this Rams defense is. Trust me. We're going to find out how good they are. The question I don't think is whether this offense or defense is good, is can the offense be good enough? We're going to find out all of those things. And then some. Gregory Lightbody says, should the Skins just keep drafting O-line like Dallas did? I don't really know. It's hard because we need so much. We need so much. And the Cowboys have always been in a position to take an offensive lineman. They've been 14, 15, 17. When you're right in the middle of the draft, yeah, that's the perfect place to take a guard. Take a tackle. But when you're drafting second, most likely not the best player available at that point, which is where the Redskins most likely are going to be drafting is second overall. You don't take an offensive lineman. You take Chase Young. That's just how that goes. So, Reese says, Lou, you called it on Scotty Miller, this Scotty Miller kid. He made a couple of plays today. You said he could run like the wind. I told you I wanted to see more Scotty Miller, man. I said, more Scotty Miller, please. And obviously, it's getting late in the season. Haven't won a ton of games. So you know what time it is? It's Miller time, man. Drink up. Reese says, you think it's any decent quarterback could have a great year with BA's scheme and all the great pass catchers we have? Absolutely. Like I said, there's going to be a plethora, a wealth of free agent quarterbacks that could come right in and really do work in BA's scheme. If I'm Tampa Bay, much like the Bears, much like the Broncos, and some of these other teams that are ready to win now, I'm not looking to. I mean, you may draft a quarterback. Ultimately, having the 7th pick in the draft, you may ultimately decide on quarterback is what you need to draft. But I would still go out and get a veteran. If I'm Tampa Bay, I go out and get a veteran that I think can come in and help me win right now, and I let that rookie sit. And if shit goes sideways, then you put the rookie in. But I just feel like you got a chance to win, man. There's a window right now in Tampa Bay with the stuff that you have. I would hate to squander this opportunity because I already told you, you're only getting a good 2-3 years max out of BA. I don't care what the deal is he signed. I think health reasons, you're only getting 2 or 3 years out of BA max. So you got to maximize what you got, man. And BA can scheme it up. He can scheme it up with the best of them, so. Kyle Little says, I don't understand the fact that AD gets double and triple team and produces, but Mac has no impact all game. I'm convinced he is hurt. I already told you why it's a little bit different inside than it is outside. I've always said that Aaron Donald is a tactician. Like, he uses his hands and he is so dominant with his quickness and he knows his strengths and his weaknesses and he attacks. Khalil Mack just has raw ability. So when you're going off of raw ability, you're going to win a lot of the time because your ability is just better than the guy next to you. But you also need to be able to take advantage of one-on-one matchups. He hasn't gotten a lot of those. And you also need help from the other guys around you. And he hasn't had that with Akeem Hicks out of the lineup. And Gumby hasn't given him anything on the opposite side either. You know what I mean? I thought Roy Harris Robertson would have been a little bit better than he has been this year, but I'm not going to make any excuses for Khalil Mack. I'd like to see him produce at a higher clip, but I cannot ignore the elephant in the room. The man was dominant early in the season when Akeem Hicks was in the lineup. Akeem Hicks vacates the lineup in week, 3 versus the Redskins? Week 4 versus the Redskins, whatever it was. And so with it goes Khalil Mack's production. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. So teams are going to scheme to stop Khalil Mack. That's just a fact. When you wreck game plans and you wreck teams' offensive strategy week in, week out, teams aren't going to allow you to do that. So it's going to be tough on them. Black LB says, My Vikes were the epitome of coming through when adversity hits today against the Broncos. So how could you still not believe in them? 3-6 team, be damned any given Sunday, brother. I hear you loud and clear. However, you're not supposed to be in that position at home to the Denver Broncos. I'm sorry. You shouldn't be down 20 at halftime to the Denver Broncos. Now, you pulled it out, but you shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. I can assure you that the Patriots aren't going to be at home down 20 to a 3-6 team. I can assure you the San Francisco 49ers, who were down 16-0 against a family member. It's one thing if it's a family member, but they didn't let it get to 23-0. All right, that's family though. When it's family, throw all that shit out the window. All right, the good teams in the league don't allow that to happen, but in the same breath, the good teams in the league find a way to win, and you did that. You righted a wrong before it was too late. But I'm telling you that I've seen this team, and I see faults, and I see chinks in the armor. I see things that are fundamentally flawed with this Vikings team that at the end of the day, as you start to step up in level of competition, it's going to cost you. That's why I don't believe in the Vikings. Because I think that when you start to see the upper echelon teams, you're going to play Seattle, in Seattle, on primetime. We're going to see how good you are. Because like I said, I think there are ways to expose the Minnesota Vikings. One being, you can throw the football wherever you like. You can throw wherever you like. Yeah, against the Minnesota Vikings. You can throw it to the tight end. You can throw it to the receivers. You can throw it to the backside of the backfield. You can go out and have 300 yards passing against the Minnesota Vikings. You can enjoy a healthy day against that secondary. They're not very good back there. All right. So I said all of that to say this. You're 8-3. You're playing really good football, and you're a good team. But you're far from a sure thing. There you have it. Let's see. Gregory Lightbody says, can the Bucks, he said, Cam should go to the Bucks just for revenge, he says. Huh? Well, see, I can tell you this. Cam isn't worried about revenge. He's worried about winning. That's what he's worried about. If he thinks Tampa gives him a shot to win, so be it. If the Buccaneers feel like Cam, healthy, and again, healthy Cam is the key. If I'm Carolina, I already did a video on this, so I'm not going to rehash this. We saw Kyle Allen today. I've already said, anytime Kyle Allen is placed in front of a really good football team, and we didn't know that the Falcons were a really good football team, but that's family business. We've seen Kyle Allen show his ass. All right? And just in case you didn't know, his ass stinks. And I'm not saying he stinks. His ass stinks. All right? He's showing his ass, and it stinks. I smell it all the way over here. I smell your shit, bruh. All right? Here's some toilet paper. Clean that shit up. He did the same thing a couple weeks ago versus San Francisco. He did it again this week. Now he's young. But what I'm saying is, you willing to pass Cam over for this? You sure you want to do that? If that's what you want to do, go right ahead. You may regret it, but knock yourself out. If you really going to do this over $19 million, go right ahead. Knock yourself out. Reese says, we have to address this secondary. It's a bunch of kids. We need a vet that knows what he's doing. You said Todd Bowles' scheme doesn't work with bad corners. I told you, my buddy is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and I told him it's the blind leading the blind in that secondary. It's just young guys. You've drafted a bunch of young guys the last 2 years, and you're just throwing them to the wolves. And I told you, the cornerback and safety positions are baptism by fire. You gotta throw the young boys out there and let them learn. But the problem is you get burnt too many times, and then you start doubting yourself. Now you start playing with less confidence, and the NFL is all about confidence. Doesn't matter what position you play, you have to believe that you're good enough to produce against anybody. And when you start getting toasted over and over and over and over and over and over again, you start to believe, can I actually do this? Instead of you coming up and playing press because that's what you're comfortable doing, now all of a sudden you off at 7 yards. Now that's not who you are. Now you're getting beat underneath and deep. So it all becomes mental. And Todd Bowles' system does not work without corners. That's why in New York, he always wanted to have a corner. That's why they drafted D. Milliner. It didn't work. That's why he went out and got Tremaine Johnson. It didn't work. But he always wanted a guy that he could rely on at the cornerback position because that's what makes his defense work. That's why he was so good in Arizona. He had Patrick Peterson. That meant he could throw the kitchen sink at you, lock down one side of the field, and all he had to do was worry about the other side of the field. He can do work. He just needs one guy to step up. That guy doesn't exist in Tampa right now. Therein lies your problem with Todd Bowles and his system. So there it is. Anyway, I'm your man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me here on Sunday Night Football Overtime. It wasn't pretty, but most importantly, it was gritty and a dub as the Rams survive and advance versus the Chicago Bears 17-7. And really, this was an elimination game. You know, the loser of this game was going to be done. That I tell you. The winner of this game was going to survive. But really, honestly speaking, had the Bears won and both teams been 5-5, I think both would have been dead. But at least the Bears would have felt like we got a shot. We got a shot. Now they're dead and the Rams go to 6-4 and they keep their playoff hopes alive because, again, the NFC is so good. It is so good that had they dropped to 5-5 with the Vikings being 8-3 and that being the closest team to you, I don't see you digging yourself up out of that hole. But at 6-4, you have a shot. You're not totally dead. You're gonna have to get on your horse though, because as I mentioned before, it's going to take 11 to get in the NFC. And the Vikings are halfway home. That's 8-3. So are the Seahawks at 8-2. You got some work to do. You got to win 5 out of your final 6 to get to 11. So, and good luck. You're going to need it. But tonight was a start. Can't get to 11 without getting a 6. Can't get to 11 without getting a 7. You get where I'm going with that. Got to win one at a time. There is no 4-win game. Just only can win one at a time. So you won one tonight. Now you got to see if you can duplicate that again next week and the week after that. And we'll see where we end up with this Rams team that I think is really improving defensively. Haven't had a stiff test yet, as someone mentioned in the discussion tonight, but still think it's a really good defense. And I think this offense might be able to get it done. So we'll see what happens in any event. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage it could be. Thank you guys for joining me. Like this video. Subscribe to the Louie T Network if you haven't already done so. And make sure you share this video if at all possible. I will see you guys next time. Plan on joining me for Rep Your Squad tomorrow. I think I'll be able to get up there, but either way, plan on it happening. As of right now, if something changes, you'll know. In any event, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good one. Louie T Network.